Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Cookbook. I'm your host, Iris Goldfeder, and I'm super excited about our guest today. A, we were supposed to do this in April, and B, the universe was trying to be like, no, you're not doing this today, but haha, we are. So I'm going to read her bio and bring her on. So Ali Berthiaume is the founder of The Right Place, Right Time, her virtual boutique of book coaching and ghostwriting services. As a writing guide or ghost, Berthiaume serves leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries across North America and Europe who know they have the power to activate healing, their own and their readers, by sharing their stories and spreading their message. She supports her clients in writing the book that will light up their world and ours. Berthiaume is also the award-winning author of Dear Universe, I Get It Now. And I do. Letters on the Art and Journey of Being Brave and Being Me, and the co-author of Do Not Write a Book, ... until you read this one. If you can catch her away from the keyboard, she's probably drinking. No, she's drinking maple lattes, watching The Princess Bride. Oh my God, I love that. And for the 1000th time, solving the latest hunt-to-killer case or having fun with her partner and son. So without further ado, let's meet Ali.
Hello, world.
Oh my God. I was going to start drinking in a minute if we didn't get this. So you guys never see like the back end of what happens here. There's like, I'll hop on and I'll be like, welcome after 335,000 takes. It's like not a joke. And then today was all technical issues. But here we are.
Here we are. It's all over. We got here.
It's all over. It is all over. All of the tech stuff is all over. So how have you been?
Oh my gosh. Crazy busy. How have you been?
Crazy busy. So it's positive. And I'm going to turn my, you said you couldn't hear me, but I'm turning my gain down. Okay, there we go. Because I hear echo. Okay, there we go. So what have you been doing? Being crazy busy.
Well, on the personal side of things, so my husband and I bought a house and we moved in the last month. So that has been taking up a lot of time and energy since, negotiations, contract signing, all those things.
That's always fun and never stressful. Never stressful.
It's been a time. And it's right in the middle of one of the busiest parts of the school year, even though it's the end of the school year. My kiddo is 8. He's involved in baseball. And the end of the school year always means that that's when they do all the field trips, all the extra community events. Like there's just all sorts of things to juggle with the end of the school year. So between that and moving and business being in a real feast state. Forget that famine. We're in a feast state.
That's right. There's no such thing as famine anymore. It's done. It's good.
So yeah, just juggling mom life, wife life, home ownership life, and entrepreneurial life, which is always all consuming all by itself.
Well, so did you not own a house before?
No. So we were living in an apartment. I had a house with my first marriage. That was a number of years ago. So I haven't been a homeowner now since probably 2017 or 18. And I had kind of forgotten. What goes into a house, living just high life apartment living, with somebody else taking care of the lawn and the parking lots and all that kind of thing. So it's been both eye-opening and exciting and, stressful is a good word.
Yeah, and it's very stressful. I remember when, and my dogs are chiming in, of course, because why not? Are you guys done? Thank you. I'm recording a podcast. Can you hear them? I mean, they just...
Only at the very last second.
So Amazon or UPS or whoever it is must have some kind of radar on when I'm recording, because it's the only time that I get deliveries. Normally they come at like 10 a.m., 11 a.m. But when I'm recording a podcast, they come. So But I remember, so buying our very first house, I remember that like it was yesterday. We had to look at 32 houses because 32, and I'm not even exaggerating, because my wife, it was our first house in Indiana and she had to have a basement because of tornadoes. I wanted a fireplace. We got neither. Like my realtor was like, we've seen 32 houses. She needs to fucking pick one. And I was like, and so I said to her, the most patient woman in the world said that you need to pick a house because I'm fine with whatever. So we finally went to see one more house and that was it. And then this house we bought, and we had to go through a relocation company that was selling it. So like the second I saw this house, I knew this was the house. I was like, okay, this is our house. Heather was like, not so fast. I need to see it. And I was like, okay, you should probably see it first. Yeah. So she came and then she agreed with me and we made an offer right away.
Awesome.
So, yeah, we made an offer and then we had to go through the relocation company, and that was a nightmare. And our realtor was probably not the best equipped for working with a relocation company. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
It's always interesting.
Things tend to be. Mm-hmm. I think with this house, it was kind of I'll just go for it. It was the universe nudging us along because we had started looking at homes a couple years ago. We were not the right buyer for the market because at that time it was kind of COVID or right after COVID, and people were doing crazy things. They were putting down really outlandish cash offers, well above asking price, waiving inspections. And we were like, okay, we don't have extra $50,000 just lying around to do a cash advance or to go above and beyond the asking price. The homes around here, the asking prices were already well beyond what they would have been a couple of years ago for the sizes.
Where are you located?
We're in Vermont.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And the other thing that was happening too is that there was a bunch of people coming from out of state snatching up homes from the locals.
New Yorkers.
So, so like there wasn't even that much inventory, right? We were just not the right buyers. So this year we were like, yeah, maybe we'll put ourselves back out there. Maybe we won't. And at the turn of the year, we just happened to see this house listed, that there was an open house. And we thought, yeah, it's in the neighborhood we kind of want to be in. Let's go check it out. Like there's no harm in going and looking at it. And we went and we looked at it. And long story short, a series of events later, the house went through 2 other offers that failed.
Wow.
And I was like, this is it. It's a sign. Like, this house is not meant to be with these other people. This house is meant for us. Like, but I mean, we looked at the house in January. We didn't really end up through negotiations having the bid accepted until March.
Wow.
I mean, this is how long like this thing had been. So I kind of feel like we've been in the energy of this house since January of this year. Yep. And, we only now been inside it, like living there for maybe 5 weeks now. And, I feel the way that I think of it is a plant that's lacked a lot of water and sun because its owner just didn't know what to do with it. Wow. And now we're pouring the water and the sun into it, and it's slowly kind of shifting and becoming, it's reaching its highest potential. It's a self-actualizing house.
I love that, like, so much. And so we were supposed to close on a certain date, and a week before we were supposed to close, our buyers got denied. So, I was like, let's throw it back on the market. Like, we don't have time. And our realtor was like, no, if you throw it back on the market, people are going to wonder why. Well, we had other realtors say you should have thrown it back on. You could have gotten another probably like $15,000, but it was what it was. We were meant to be here and whatever. But it's funny that you say, the energy of the house, because did I send you the picture of the ghost? Did we have that conversation? I sent you the
Oh my gosh, no. I would have loved to have seen a picture of a ghost.
Okay, so we moved into this house And during COVID, because I was like, I can't do COVID in our old house. Our old house was smaller. It was jutted up against like a main road, not like a main road, but main enough. And then during COVID, it was like, no, we need to move. So we moved and we bought this house. And it was beautiful. It is beautiful. And we have like the woods as our backdrop. And I have my little hummingbird feeders and all this stuff. And the house was like trying to kill me. I would walk into a room, a door would open, or the door would be open, and I would walk in and it would close. I went up to the bathroom upstairs, walked in, the cabinet door opened, I went flying over it. I was like, the house is trying to kill me. And then I ended up speaking to people telling me that it was time to own my stuff that we've talked about. So I did. So fast forward to the following summer, I was at a point where I did a full moon thing and I had my fire going and I said, letting go of things, all the things that no longer serve me. I post a picture on Facebook. My friend sends me a DM and she goes, do you see the ghosts? And I went, where? And she goes like, on the side of the fire. And I went, no, there's no ghost. Well, sure enough, I look. And not only do I see a ghost, but like it was a live photo. So when I send it to you, you like press on it and see it like materialize. It was insane. Ugh, I'm getting the things. No. Yeah, it was nuts.
My whole body just got goosebumps.
It was insane. But it was a native chief.
Oh.
So it was a native chief. And then in the back looked like, and you can tell me if you think I'm nuts, it looked like a wizard and like a king walking. Like the whole thing was really weird. So I'm like, what does this all mean? Like, why is a native chief visiting me? So I sent it to a few of my friends who are, spiritual and woo. And my most woo friend said, because you are who you are, the chief came and not a squaw, because normally it would be a squaw, but because you have I don't want to say power, but power, right? For those of you listening and don't understand woo, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Understatement of the century.
I know. But we have gifts. And I'm powerful with my gifts. Anyway, so she said, you need to do this like full moon thing because he's worried. He's been the steward of the land for hundreds of years and he's tired, which is why he came to you. And he knows that he can trust you with it. So I was like, whoa, that's insane. So I said, okay. So I took the ritual, whatever you want to call it. And I, went out the following full moon and I had my sage and everything. And I said, hey, just want to let you know that I understand I don't own this land. I will be the steward for you. If you want to go back and be with your people, go. If you want to stay, you can stay. I'm not kicking you off, but if, whatever. And I will be a good steward of the land and the animals and everything that's, on here. And he was gone.
And the doors stopped shutting in your face and the cabinet stopped tripping you up.
Yeah, well, that happened like as soon as I started accepting that I can't suppress all of the things anymore.
Yeah.
But when all of that started happening and I accepted everything, like really different things started showing themselves. And that was like the biggest one. And and he's been gone and I've kept my word.
Amazing.
So, it was kind of trippy.
Well, I don't know what might be in our house, but somebody recently told me about a woman who does house clearings. Because I was talking about kind of all of the comedy of errors that have happened since we moved in. And this person was like, oh, I'll tell you who you need to get in touch with. You need like a whole clearing of the house, like, because this house is probably just taken on like bad energy of people ignoring it over however many years and, whatever. So I've got to look that person up and see what that kind of thing costs, because I'm just determined at this point that like, okay, we can't go on for the next 30 years with all of these weird things like popping up, costing a lot of extra money that we're not expecting. If there's something spiritually we can do to kind of cleanse this place and like give it a restart, a little reboot. So I do think that it's getting the love and care that it needs at this point. It's got the right people in it, but I feel like there's something else that needs to be moved out.
Probably. Yeah. I haven't felt that anymore, since it stopped trying to do its thing. Apparently I have a little person with me that's been with me my whole life, and they're just always going to be with me. And I'm like, oh, like I can't see them, I can't feel them, but apparently they're there. And I'm like, okay, okay. So cool. That's a good thing, because I guess that keeps whatever other crap was here, out of the way. I probably just lost like 50,000. I might have lost 50,000 viewers and then gained 50,000 at this point. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But the people who know me know. If you know, you know. But anyway, okay, so what about Allie? Let's talk about Allie and you and your journey to entrepreneurship and all of the things.
Yeah, so it began on April 3rd of 1985.
There's a song like that, I think. It began April 3rd, 1980. Okay, go ahead.
I would say my journey on this earth so far has been kind of circular. It's the best way that I can describe it. So as a little girl, I knew about 5 years old that writing and books was just in me. Like, this is what I was called to do. And I truly, deeply believed that. And then somewhere along the way, kind of those external forces that suggest creative fields are not practical routes to take. They don't pay the bills, all those things started to seep in. And by the time I graduated high school, I was kind of believing that it wasn't realistic to write and make money, or to work with books and make money. And there were only a few avenues that people seemed to think were possible, which is what made them think it was unrealistic, I think.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be a Stephen King. I wasn't going to work for a major publisher. Just very narrowed ideas of how the written word could be something that you could get paid for. And I have to say that my academic degrees didn't do a very good job of expanding on that. So I went on to undergrad and grad school. I got a creative writing degree and a psychology degree. And then I went on to get my master's, and I started in marriage and family therapy, which is ironic as somebody who's been married and divorced and then married again.
Wow.
But irony is fun. So we're just going to own it. But I was thinking up until that point that psychology, counseling, mental health, that was going to be like the bread and butter. Writing was going to be this like side hustle, side gig thing. And graduate school ends up being one of the first turning points for me, because I'm sitting in class and I can't pay attention. I'm so annoyed being in these marriage and family therapy classes. And I just feel like all of the professors are quacks, and that it's way too easy to get A's, because I'm not even paying attention, but like I'm acing everything.
Wow.
And I'm like, how is this possible? This should not work like this. And I'm sitting in class and I'm literally writing fictional stories of my professors in my notebook instead of paying attention. And so, like, if writing was a force, or like a house elf like Dobby from Harry Potter, that's what it was like.
Wow.
Like, very annoying and pesky, and like showing up in inopportune times to remind me that I was not doing what I should be doing, and that I needed to like get back on track.
Right.
And so I finally took that nudge and I said, you're right. Like, this is what I've been wanting to do my whole life. I got that nudge when I was filling out graduate school applications, that I was filling out the wrong ones. That I was putting too much time and energy into counseling program applications, that I should be applying to MFA programs, but I went against it. And so now here I am, and I'm getting that nudge again. Well, universe steps in, and the university where I'm going has started an MFA program for the very first time, a consortium program with other schools in the Northeast of Ohio. And I thought, oh my gosh, like this is like totally serendipitous.
Right.
So I switch majors, masters, and I get the Master's of Fine Arts degree. But that was 2010, and it took me until 2018 to figure my way over to the entrepreneurial path. And so it was like still all this mindset stuff, what's possible, what's realistic, am I good enough? It was waiting for people's permission, like, you know, key people in my life wanting them to just say to me, you're good enough, you can, we permit you to, like, go get them, tiger. And, you know, that wasn't really happening. So I graduate with the MFA, I come back to Vermont, I do all of the things that you do as an adult. You know, you get married, you buy the house, you know, whatever. And I ended up with one job in that 8-year span that I adored. And that was like my first taste of working with books. And that was working for an academic publisher that just happened to have a North American office in Burlington, Vermont.
Of course.
So serendipitous universal action number 2. And I'm there for 3 years. I get editorial experience, marketing experience. I'm loving it. And then we get acquired and we all get laid off. End of journey. And I'm devastated. I'm also pregnant.
Oh, crap.
So I'm about to have my first child and now I don't have a job. And then the real kicker is that I can't even file for unemployment right away because I'm not employable because I'm out on medical leave because I had a cesarean section. Thank you, United States system of bullshit. Like
USSBS. USSBS. Okay, go ahead.
So I'm at home on maternity leave, looking for jobs, not what I want to be doing as a first-time mother, you know, on maternity leave, filling out unemployment applications. Once I got past the initial period where I was then employable again.
Right.
And I'm like, gosh, I really wish I could just figure out a way to stay home and write and make a living and be here for my child and not have to put them in daycare and all these things. But that was not in the cards. My husband at the time and I couldn't agree on that. He was not as, he was more risk adverse, I guess I would say, than I was from a financial perspective. So I found myself in a job working as a legal assistant and marketing assistant for a small boutique law firm.
Wow.
And what's interesting about that position is it's this like little nugget, again, universe planting a seed. The whole firm is all about startups and entrepreneurs. That's their niche.
Wow.
And this is the first time that I even have an inkling that like starting my own company could be a thing. And all these companies in Vermont are amazing, such cool visionaries, such cool products. And I'm like, man, how do I get in on that? That seems really exciting. You get to be your own boss and like all these things. Still not in the cards, and working for that boutique law firm was not a good fit. So I jumped jobs again. I end up in software as an administrative assistant, overqualified, but I can do the job. It pays pretty well for entry level. 100% health insurance benefits are covered. So I'm thinking that's pretty sweet as a newish mom, right? I can take ownership of that for my family. And they promised me that they'll move me up. Well, let's just say everything kind of falls apart when I start this new job for a variety of reasons. And so things at the home life start to crack. And then I miscarry my second. Yeah. My marriage starts to fall apart. Sorry. I file for a divorce. I move in with my parents. I'm now in a shared custody situation with my toddler. And the only thing that I've got hope for is that the 9-to-5 promotion will come through, because everything else feels like it's bottomed out and there's nowhere else to go. Like I'm in the ashes. Everything else has burned around me. And some of it from my own doing, in true transparency and honesty, not being upfront with myself or my partner about what I really wanted, what I wanted to do or be, like a number of things that I think a lot of us could relate to if I went into the details there.
Right.
But what's amazing is out of this period of ground zero, there's only one direction to go, and that's up. And there's no risk you can't take because you've already lost everything.
Oof. Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Right. So the promotion fails and down goes the last piece of the house. So now everything is torched. Nothing has gone unburned at this point. And I just kind of threw my hands up and I said, all right, you up there, I clearly don't know what hashtag adulting is supposed to look like. I'm really sucking at it. So you tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I am not supposed to do it the way that everybody else says, because this has not worked. Checking off the boxes has not been a good plan for me.
Right.
And it was like, as soon as I let go of all these old ideas of what marriage or family or career or motherhood or anything like this should be, all of the stars aligned. Like write books, write podcasts, write people, write introductions. And they all pointed in one direction.
Writing.
Which was to start my own business.
Yeah.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is the worst possible freaking time to be starting one's own business. Right?
Which is really the best
My son's
time.
not even 3.
When you think about it. But anyway,
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And it ended up being exactly that. The best time. The perfect time for me, even though these circumstances were not ideal from the outward appearance. And I had one person who said to me, you can make a whole business out of writing services, right? And my mind, and it should not have been blown, but my mind was blown. Because she was the only person in my entire life who had said that I could do this and explained how it could work. And then once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. And I was like, this,
support,
my whole heart.
Yeah, right. It's like you knew this at 5, you had zero support, and you went through all of this shit, and now you have the words of support that you've needed. Bam, here they are.
And that gave me so much power. So much power, because then I was like, okay,
yep.
They just told me that it's possible, so maybe it is possible. And if that means that it's possible, maybe I should put some energy around that. And, and eventually I did win the support of the people that I wanted. But what it came down to was I needed one person to just believe. And then that was enough for me to start believing in myself. And from there, it was just like the whole thing blew open.
Yeah.
And that was late summer of 2018. I formed an LLC that November. 6 months later, I had 2 months of living expenses, and I walked out of my day job and went into the right place, right time, full time at that point. And now it'll be 6 years this coming November.
Bam. That's amazing. And congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, really, because it's, when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, it all aligns.
Yes.
I had my business, and it was like a thing. And, I had a partner in name only. And then I got into another partnership that didn't work out. But from that, and I had a non-compete that I signed that kind of clipped my wings a little bit, right? And the really funny thing about that was, where I thought that was going to kill me, it made me the strongest I've ever been, because it showed me you don't just have to do this. You can do all of these other things. You have all of these other skills. And if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have realized them. So it was one of those literally phoenix rising out of the ashes. It took a couple of years, right? But last year I had my best year ever in my life. And it was because I got to do all the things. And then the real kick in the ass from the universe. So so my wife works for a company, and they had this thing that you have to be there 10 years or whatever it is, 15 years to get 3 weeks vacation. So she's there 15 years. She gets her 3 weeks. A week later, they're like, okay, we've changed the rule to only 5 years. So I go through all this crap. I follow my non-compete. I do everything I'm supposed to do. A week after my non-compete ends, the federal government comes out and says, non-competes are null and void. So it was just like, Heather and I looked at each other, and it was like, are you fucking kidding me? Really?
Yeah.
But I think everything happens for a reason, right? You had to go through all of your stuff to get to where you are. I had to go through all of my stuff, and that non-compete to realize all of the things. And I think that as entrepreneurs, I always say, I probably say this every episode, is if you ever want to know what you're made of, become an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. And I think that when we do that, and when we step into our zones of genius, our zones of comfort, everything changes because it aligns. And then when it aligns, all of the other things kind of fall in place with it. So it doesn't surprise me that, I mean, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that crap, but at the same time, I always say if they're not stepping stones, they're stopping stones. Right. And you made them stepping stones. It was like, okay, well, this happened and now I went on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's what it is. Every step is like part of the puzzle and part of the journey to get where we're supposed to be. So I love it. Yeah. I love that, you know.
It's so true. And I think I was able to embrace that because I already had some stuff that had happened before that period of time where I had seen how certain things that had happened in the past helped me understand things that then ended up happening later. Like I already had a sense of how this worked. Right. So by the time I started to see everything falling apart, I already kind of knew like, all right, I see what you're doing here.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're trying to tell me, but I know you're telling me something. So I will just dig in and let you do your thing, let you blow my house down, like, because I trust that like there's another side to this. And, you know, there's nothing else that I have been through that I have not overcame.
Right.
So this too shall pass kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I've had a lot of people say to me like, but you were kind of young to like know that, you know, because I was like in my 30s. Right. And some people haven't had a lot of stuff happen yet. And I thought, well, you know, people can have tough things happen to them in adolescence and in young adulthood. And if they're wise enough to it, or they've spent their time in therapy, which I certainly have, got my badge for that.
Got the book and the t-shirt.
You know, it made maneuvering that time, as difficult as it was, a lot easier because I had faith based off of prior experience that had already taught me about perseverance and resiliency and getting to the other side, you know?
Right.
But to your point, I've learned a lot more about myself since being on the entrepreneurial journey. You know, I don't think our learning about ourselves ever ends, but the entrepreneurial journey is hit on every single button.
Oh, yeah.
You know, every single button. And there's definitely something to be said for like, this is not an easy road to have chosen.
No.
You know, to be 100% responsible for all decisions, for paying yourself, for paying your people, for bringing in new business, for evolving when the market shifts, you know. So I think a lot of people see the rosy side of entrepreneurship, like, oh, you're so lucky. You can make your own schedule and you can flex your own hours and you can, you know, and those are wonderful perks. But at the same time, like you flex those hours, that inbox is going to keep creeping up. Nobody's checking those emails for you.
That's right. I mean,
like,
yeah. And if you take a day off, no one's doing your work for you.
Nobody's doing your work, right?
Nope.
If you don't work, you don't get paid,
right.
You know? And so I think it's interesting. It's interesting to be on this side of the fence in kind of entrepreneurial land. Remember what working for somebody else was like. Mm-hmm. Know most people who work for somebody else. Most of them I don't believe are particularly fulfilled or happy, you know, but they don't have the same stressors that I have. They're different stressors.
Right.
But, you know, there's kind of stress on either side, but
you've got to
have a thick skin.
I think there are some people. So there are some people that are worker bees. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so we have to, so society, you have to have your alphas, which are the entrepreneurs. And then you have to have, you know, the worker bees who, you know, don't mind that. And then you have people that don't think creatively or critically and everything has to be kind of laid out. And there's a place for everybody. Right. For me, I had an assistant, and she was very good as long as I told her exactly what to do. And I would have to lay everything out. And for me, it's like, well, if I have to lay everything out, may as well just do it myself. because I started writing like step by step. You need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And then it just got to the point that I just got too busy and I outgrew her. When I was at a certain point, it was okay, but I was outgrowing her. So now I have two people doing, the job that she was doing. And it's so much easier, right? Like I know I'm not going to have to check every single thing every day. And I know that if a problem comes up, it's not going to be like, what do I do? It's going to be like, hey, a problem came up. This is what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe we could do this to fix it. And it's like, I love you. Go fix it.
Yeah.
Go fix it. Right. Because, as the business owner, we're supposed to be working on the business, not in it. So that we can work on it and grow it and do whatever next thing we want to do with it. And so it's nice. And this is really recent. And it's been interesting because it's like, oh, I can let go. I can let go and it's not going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I don't have to check my email 20 times a day. I don't have to check, so that for me has been a really big lesson on just a big lesson, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I wasn't trying to say that by looking at people who are in regular 9-to-5s that we don't need the worker bees, but more that I don't find a lot of people who speak from the heart about what they're doing as I feel like I do with entrepreneurs. I feel like entrepreneurs have found a way to lean into purpose through their work. And I feel like a lot of people in corporate, and I think it's because of the business model perhaps that we still seem to be working by, are kind of a part of the rat race. And so even if they are a worker bee and they might be okay with that, they might not feel valued as a worker bee. Or they're in leadership, they have lots of capability to influence other people, but they're miserable because they don't know how to be a leader. They got promoted because their skills were good, but they don't have any people management skills. And so now they're in a really, so I feel like there's like a system that's broken. Whereas in entrepreneurship, you are the system. You create the system, right? You have all the flexibility in the world to be and do however you want to be and do. Although that being said, that gets a little bit sticky, right? Because everybody's promoting that they know the way to do it best, right? Like that's definitely, I think, the downside of entrepreneurship is like gurus everywhere. Everybody's got the formula, the plan, the method. And it's very easy to like think that if you go with that person's plan, it's going to be like the magic pill that's going to help you get to the next level or something.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know about you, Iris, but for me, I have found that business has been at its most successful when I'm not listening to anybody else and I'm listening to myself. And when I'm leaning on the worker bees who are totally cool to support my vision, but don't need to be the visionary.
Yes.
So my team is all contractors. They're all people who work from home, have a variety of clientele, and they do very specific things for me in a certain bucket of hours a month. And it's a beautiful arrangement. They're not like completely beholden to me. They can have other clients and do other things that they enjoy. You they're not
run your business the way I do. I have the same thing. I don't have any employees. They're all contractors.
All contractors.
Right. And I'm 100, like all of my clients know that I work with contractors. They know why I work with contractors. And the contractors that I work with, and I'm sure you as well, are the best of the best. I know they're going to get the stuff done. I think I've taken a chance on a couple of people that I knew that they weren't full contractors, that it was like maybe, I wanted to try and help. Didn't work. Okay. I'm probably not going to do that anymore because now I'm at a critical point in my business that, I can't fuck around anymore. Like I have to be like mission critical and I can't, I have to have like literally just top notch. Like I can't, mess around and go, well, I know you have this issue and I want to try and help you. No, sorry. But hopefully I'll get to a point that I'll be able to do that again. And be able to do it without freaking out that something's not that a deadline is going to miss. Because this is a heart-centered business. And and I do want to help people, but at the same time, I have to take care of my clients. That's number one before anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you know, and I'll get there again, but yeah, but as far as contractors, and I love that. Like as you were saying that, I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one, because I hear so many people that are like, well, my employees and this, and it's like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that.
Yeah. I don't want that responsibility either, but I think the other thing that's a little bit different, right, is the mindset piece. I feel like it seems so silly, but I feel like there's a different mindset between employee and then like contributor, right?
Yes.
And I feel like contractors contribute to the business. They have as much stake in it as you do, because yes, you're paying them at the end of the day, but you're not going to pay them if they don't do the thing.
Right.
Right. Employees, it's like you make the arrangement that like, yes, they're going to get the thing and they're going to get the benefits but they're almost, depending on how you lead those employees, it's like they're yours. They're the minions rather than like, no, you're all in it together.
Right.
And I just feel like there's a different energy around it. So, you know, my team and I, it's like, you know, yes, I'm the face of the right place, right time. People only associate my business name with me, but I know behind the scenes that I have these other people who are lifting me up. You know, they're taking care of bookkeeping. I don't want to do that. You know, they're taking care of scheduling my social. I don't want to do that either. You know, they're helping with project management boards, or, you know, they're coming to me and saying, hey, we need something for tomorrow because this thing is coming up. Nothing's written. What do we got? You know, seeing the problems that I can't see because I'm focused on the things that I need to focus. And they're willing to do that because they're invested. You know, They're invested in what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do. They're invested in being a good contributor. They're invested in their reputation, right?
Yes.
Because I could be referring them to more business, right? Because they're not just for me. They can work for other people. And maybe that's also part of that energetic shift, right? It's not like they're only mine. They could fire me as much as I could fire them. And when that can go both ways, there's a whole different skin in the game at that point.
And what I love about it, so it's like I have, you know, we're all on marketing solutions, right? So we do digital, we do SEO, we do social media, we do all the things. And actually my post tomorrow is going to be really, really funny. And it was because of like an accident that one of my assistants did. And I was like, wait, we're going to use that. We're going to use that for, you know, this and check it out on LinkedIn tomorrow. But, well, you can check it out on LinkedIn, guys. This is going to be like a month later. So, check out, June 5th. Look at June 5th. Anyway. So, what I love about it is, you know, so I had a little bit of a thing happen, and I had 3 websites that were due. And my contractor that was supposed to do it, I think he was self-sabotaging, but long story short, we couldn't get it done. So I had to call in the troops, right? And I am so lucky, and I am so grateful, and I'm so blessed to have these people around me, who jump in and help. It's amazing. But through it, we do a templated author site, and we do it depending on what it is. It's like a flat fee of, you know, whatever, $2,000, $2,500, and it's a template that we created. And this way, you know, if an author comes in, they do the thing, whatever. So this woman who I was introduced to by one of my contractors was like, I'd love to do this. But I don't work in WordPress. So I was like, okay. She goes, but I'm going to try and figure it out because I think it's a skill that I need. She got that shit done in 3 days. Wow. 3 days. She learned what she needed to learn, and we get done. And she goes, this was like such an amazing experience. I want to do more work for you. And because at the end of the day, they're kind of, you know, checking us out as much as we're checking them out, like you said.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yes, we'll talk. So, you know, we're going to talk more this week, but by that one issue happening, now I have like this bevy of developers in different languages that my offerings just like blew through the fucking roof. So it's just one of those, serendipitous things, right? It sucks that it happened. However, because it happened, it kind of opened the door for things that I never would have even thought about.
Yeah. So well, isn't that the beauty of mistakes, right? We get so caught up, I think, in anything that we do, like fearing the mistake or feeling the failure, right? Or, getting frustrated about the thing not working out perfectly. Yeah. And really at the end of the day, it's all growth. It's all learning. It's all expansion.
And it's meant to happen. I truly believe, I don't believe in accidents. I just don't anymore because so much shit's happened that it's just like, this is okay. Just whatever you're throwing at me, throw at me. I get that this is all part of whatever lesson I'm supposed to be learning now and whatever the next step I'm supposed to take is. And when I look back on it for the last 20 years almost, right? I look back on everything and every single step of the way has led me to right now. And I love it. And it, there are days like I was talking to somebody today and one of my clients was like, holy shit, yesterday was the Monday from hell. And he said, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And, he'd called his dad, and his dad was like, I love my job. I love my job. And I said, hey, you get to do these things. And we talked about this earlier. I have this list up here that I work with a mindfulness coach because it's easy to go dark, right? It's easy to get frustrated. Yeah. It's easy to get negative. And when I switched from I have to do this to I get to do this, it shifted everything. Yep. It shifted every crappy thing that happened from February to now. I look back and it was like my trip to Germany was like a shit show, but it was like, I got to go to Germany. I got to do this. I got to do that, right? I got to go to California and be on the red carpet and, all of this crazy stuff that was going on. And I got to do it because I got to do this. And looking at all of it, getting to be creative, getting to work with the people I get to work with, getting to have my podcast and have amazing people like you on, right? It's to get to do things. And I think that when we shift our mindset, because our mindset can really fuck with us, right? I mean, it does. So if we let it, but if we take control of it and be like, I am going to take this negative thing and I'm going to make it positive. If it's the last freaking thing I do, because, I'm tired of that spiral, because spirals happen. And if we don't catch them, especially as entrepreneurs, we start going down the hole. Holy crap, I'm not going to get this done. Holy crap, I'm not going to get this done. I'm going to lose this client. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, wait a minute. No. They're with you for 3 years because you're doing a good job. They love you. They love their results. They love all the things, so anyway, I got on a tangent, but.
Yeah. Well, no, actually it's totally fitting. Each Monday this year, I've tried to commit to kind of a Monday business meditation and reflection. So beginning of each week, I ask myself the same series of questions. Sometimes I pull a card and, I kind of sit and sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes it's 30. Sometimes it runs a little bit longer if I have a lot in my mind coming up. And one of the questions each Monday is, what's something that you think is going to trip you up and how are you going to prevent it?
Ooh.
And this week, what I said was going to trip me up was overwhelm. I was looking at my schedule. I was seeing the number of interruptions for school functions for my kiddo. I was looking at the number of things that were due for clients, the number of calls that were on the books, which are going to take away from task execution. And I could feel myself getting into this panic and this loop of there's not enough time. I'm not going to be able to get it all done. Oh my God, it's going to be another one of those weeks. Very negative. And I knew that it was negative and not the space that I wanted to be in. And I remember telling myself I remember realizing last year that overwhelm was a state that I was creating. It was a state that I was choosing into.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
by allowing energy to be placed on these ridiculous hypotheticals of there's not enough time and all these other things, because the truth always becomes that either one, I get it all done, two, I say I need more time and the client is fine, or three, something inevitably gets knocked off my calendar because somebody else is having the same kind of week that I am and they can't meet, which always ends up shifting everything into balance. So spiraling out into overwhelm is usually very unproductive. So this week on Monday, I said, overwhelm is the thing that's going to trip me up. How am I going to prevent it? And what I wrote down was, number one, focus on these things. These are the things that are due first. Don't focus on anything else, right? But two, remember that you get to do the things you love. Remember that you get to go to all the school events because you run your own business and you get to be flexible. Remember that you get to serve these clients that you love and write these stories that you adore, get. Now, today it failed. I'm not going to lie. It's only Tuesday and I already messed it up.
You didn't mess anything up, but go ahead.
But I was aware yesterday and I can get back on track tomorrow by reminding myself, today was just one of those days. It was a little bit lower energy. It was a little bit more tired. I got to work a little later than I thought, and that kind of threw things off, But I think, mindfulness is important in this work. I think recognizing that we've chosen this path for a reason, like going back to that why, seeing those stepping stones rather than stopping stones.
Yep.
But also like taking the time to actually get out of your head. Like, this is why I like this Monday reflection thing, which I stole from somebody else, admittedly. I've pulled together a series of questions from multiple sources, but she was really the one who gave me the idea of like every Monday to sit and take some time. And that gives me something to return to through the week when I do start to fall off my own horse, right? Today it was like I was not reminded of, you get to. But I could go back to my notebook with Monday's meditation and reflection and remind myself of what my higher self and my better self said yesterday to kick today's awful self in the ass to get going back in the right direction.
Now, didn't you send me, when we spoke last time, I'm 90% sure it was you. You sent me an email with questions to ask my spouse, right? That we
teams.
Yes. Share that with the audience, because let me tell you, okay, we did it that one time. And I've been meaning to do it, but I'm telling you this for a reason, because we did it that one time. And I think I told you in the email, I was like, it was amazing. Like, we really connected. We stopped, we connected, and then, went to hell after that. But as I'm sitting here today, the funniest thing about it is I was like, after it was done and 2 weeks went by and I was like, what was that thing? Was it in an email? Did I read it somewhere? I couldn't freaking remember for the life of me where it was. And last week I saw you on my calendar and I went, duh. So I went back to the email, and this weekend was a shit show because my wife wasn't feeling well. It was my birthday on Friday. And so I went out with a friend on, thank you. I went out with a friend on Friday, and then we were supposed to go to dinner, Heather and I, on Saturday. And like 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave, I'm like, you're not dressed yet. And she's like, yeah, I really don't feel good. I was like, okay, so we'll, stay home. So we canceled it because I was going to do it again this weekend. And then that happened and I forgot, but it was just so funny because, anyway, so So can you share with the audience what that is? Because it is so amazing and it makes you stop. And it just makes all of the stuff stop and makes you be present. Yeah. And this has nothing to do with business. This has to do with family, and it's amazing.
This has to do with family. But you know what? Family and business, if you don't have the support of your family on this crazy road, so it's really important. And I think to also just connect it back to the entrepreneurial journey, it's really easy as an entrepreneur to get twirled up in the deadlines, and there's so many things to do. I mean, having your own business is like having a house, right? There's always something. And you could very easily work right around the clock and ignore everything around you because you're in this motion of like, got to get it done, got to get it done, got to get it done.
Yep.
And when you love what you do, right, you're even more inclined to spend more time with it because you're passionate about what you're doing in the world and what you're putting out there. And it would make it very easy to become disconnected from a partner because you're putting everything into the business. So teams, admittedly, not something I came up with. It's something that my husband found on Instagram or TikTok. I can't remember which. And he brought it to me and he said, I think we should try it. And so we tried it and we liked it and we kept doing it every week. Originally, we were doing it every night. And then we realized, maybe there's not a lot to say from the day before to the next day.
Right.
So we started doing it once a week on date night, and we started to establish for ourselves, this is ours, not the Instagram, TikTok thing, but we started to establish for ourselves trying to have one night a week. And of course we can do this because my son's with his dad half the time. So it makes it a little bit easier. So for those people that still have children full time in their homes or children at all, like you might need to pick a time that the children are in bed or whatever. But we committed to one time a week that was going to be considered date night. We don't have to go out necessarily. We don't have to spend a lot of money, but it's quality time together where neither of us is working and we're not feeling distracted by other things. And we incorporate Teams into that evening together. And Teams is an acronym. The T stands for touch. So the idea here is that you are holding hands or cuddling or rubbing each other's feet or giving each other shoulder rubs or head massages, whatever, while you are doing this conversation. Okay, so touch is T. E is education, meaning what's something you learned today or this week, depending on the time frame that you're doing Teams. So we do, what did we learn this past week? Oh my gosh. Sometimes this is where we spend most of our time, right? Because we're like, what did we learn about so-and-so? What did we learn from the family? What did we learn at work? What did we learn, about the neighborhood? So all the things that you might have learned, and this can include things that you might have learned about yourself or each other. Then A is appreciate. So what are the things that you appreciate this week? Now, admittedly, I think originally this was supposed to be solely what do I appreciate about you, my partner. Mm-hmm. But we kind of expanded it. Mm-hmm. Just what did I appreciate generally? Yes, about you, but what did I maybe appreciate about myself? What did I appreciate about the pets or the children or the colleagues or, whatever. It's just a way to kind of get into that gratitude energy. M is mindful. So where was your awareness at this week? Did you have too many peanut butter cups and that totally blew your, fat macros? Were you mindful that your partner shaved their armpits into the sink and didn't pick up after themselves? It can be the things that you're mindful about yourself or the things that you're mindful about each other that you want to kind of kindly ask to be looked out for and corrected. Nice. Okay. In the spirit of, communicating, but not just like nagging or arguing or, getting nasty about it. Right. And then S is for successes. What were the successes this week? What were your wins? Individually, as a couple, as a family, whatever it is. And we have found that sometimes we take off in this conversation and it's an hour and 15 minutes or something longer by the time we get through all of the letters, which, we're doing it once a week. So that makes sense. If we were doing it every day, it would probably be snappier. But it's just a great little tool because you can do it over dinner. You can do it in the car on a commute. You can do it while you're traveling and take the whole car ride to do all of the letters. Right. I mean, it's a nice way to be talking and not scrolling through your social media, tuning out to a TV show. There are times and places for those things as well. But, really getting into conversation with your partners, I think, is huge. Yeah, connecting is really important, I think, to keep things going, right? Yeah. And something separately that we do as a family with my son is we do gratitude, we do rose and thorn. So we all go around, we say one thing that we're grateful for today, at least one. We talk about a rose. So, okay, what was a win for today or something that made you feel good or something that you felt positively about? And then a thorn is, okay, what was something that was kind of crummy today that didn't feel so good, that you wish you had done differently, that you wish had gone better? So even if you only started there with your partner, and forget Teams altogether, it would at least get conversation started. Yeah, well, what we try to do is, or what I try to do, because she'll never do it on her own. But what I try to do when I remember is before we go to bed, what are 3 things that you're grateful for that happened today?
And it doesn't have like, of course it's, well, you and the pups and, whatever. It's like, no. What happened in your day that you're grateful for, so that we go to bed with, a mindset of gratitude. Because I think it's important to end the day on gratitude when, especially if you had like a hard day, right? It's like something good always comes out of something bad. I truly believe that. So you had a shitty day. Okay. But what in that shitty day, what was good? What could you be grateful for? Maybe it's the lesson. Maybe it's, whatever. So I try to do that. So man, we got to like zero of the questions, but that's okay because this was a great conversation. And we actually, it's funny because, I try to ask the questions, but to me, this has taken on more of a journey, more about the story and the journey, and the questions kind of just get answered organically. So they're asked and answered, or they're just answered. So because we're up to an hour already, and I know it took 20 minutes to get this stupid thing to go, but here we are. So thank you like so much for being here today and putting up with all the technical crap and all the other stuff. And we definitely need to talk again after this, but we'll work on that. What do you what do you want to leave the audience with?
Oh my gosh. I think where I want to leave the audience with is just to remember to be yourself. And I know that seems so simple, yet it is so hard for so many of us. But you are your greatest asset. You're your greatest gift. And actually, I saw this from a colleague of mine on LinkedIn, and I thought it was brilliant. So I'm gonna give a shout out to Christy Straw, who in a graphic had said, "You are your longest commitment."
Ooh. I like that.
And so if that's all true, if we're our greatest gift and our greatest asset and our longest commitment, then it is imperative that we figure out who we are, we lean into it, we embrace it, flaws and all, shadow and light, own our stuff, own our story, and get out there. Life is too short to be anybody else.
Excellent. Where can people find you?
So if people want to come check things out with The Right Place, Right Time, they can also learn about me, my services, my books, my bravery box, which goes with one of the books, all the things. It's therightplacerightTime.com. And the first right is WRITE. The second right is RIGHT. And you'll also get linked over to all of the socials. But join the email list. There's some wisdom that goes zipping around each week for the writing path. As well as a number of places that you can see me either talking or podcasting or whatever. So join the email list when you get to the homepage, and I'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. And can't believe we're here already, but the last question that I ask all my guests, and I make sure that I ask this question, is what lights your fire?
Oh my gosh, what lights my fire? Oh, peanut butter cups. What lights my fire? Honestly, when I get a client who finally gets how important their story is and how much they've overcome and how much it can matter to somebody else, and that whole idea of, is it relevant? Will anybody care? Do I have anything to say? When all that crap goes away, and they're like ready to just like stand and own, like, yeah, I've been through some stuff, but I am badass and brilliant anyway. And I'm about to stand here and tell you the story, and it's about to help you. And like that transformation, that getting to that side of empowerment, of thriving versus being in victim mode or doubt mode or anything like that. Oh my gosh, I'm so here for that.
That is awesome. I love that. And I love the, because I believe that we go through things so other people don't have to, right? So we can teach. So I love all of that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be with me and my audience. Hang on one second. I'm going to say goodbye and I'll be right back. Everybody, thank you so much for hanging out for an hour plus. And I know this was a little different than some of the other episodes, but I know that you've gotten some cool golden nuggets from this. So please go like, share, subscribe. And you know what? Every day we're learning something new about each other, about ourselves. Do what Ali said. Really learn about yourself and own it, and learn to love yourself. So until next time, go out and find what lights your fire. See ya.